Hello and welcome back to It's Queer Magic. It's me, Kirbo. So happy to see you. If you're new here, we talk about queer magic, witchcraft, abolition, love, freedom. We're just trying to be better people and live our full lives and be our full selves. And it is a labor, but a labor of love. So if that sounds good to you, stick around, okay? Today we are looking into the energies for Aquarius season to see what is in the stars for us. We have so many things shifting. Pluto moves into Aquarius on the same day. It's happening. It's happening right now. And while you may have heard a lot of stuff that might make you feel afraid or nervous or anxious, I understand that makes sense. Change is destabilizing. We are going through a lot of violent resistance on the planet right now, and it's okay to be afraid. But the energy of Aquarius altogether is to lift us all of us, into a place of harmony, of balance, and of an equitable future, right? And I'm sure there may be some people who argue that point, but they're not here. I'm here. And I feel very strongly in the positive and powerful future and potential of humanity on the planet. And I think that if we let Aquarius season and if we let Pluto in Aquarius continue to show us what needs to be changed, to give us the innovation, the ideas, the creativity, the inspiration, to move towards that future, I think that you and I and all of us will be able to birth a world that supports real life on the planet for all of us, for all beings. So strap in. Listen to your rising sign, listen to your moon sign, listen to your sun sign. Anywhere you have concentrated energy, stellium, what have you, listen up and see if it's for you. Okay? Let it go. If it's not a big deal. There's a lot of people out here. If it's not yours, drop it. And none of these invitations are invitations to panic, to spiral, or to run away from what is calling you. So take a deep breath, root down into who you are, and take in what's for you. Okay? Let's go. First up, of course, is Aquarius. Aquarius, you're up first, and the card on the table for you is the Three of Wands. And I'm feeling very confident in your personal ability to see the future. This is not about looking into what is coming ahead of you for sure, right? This is not about like trying to avoid things or trying to see the future so that we can force it to be what we want it to be. No, this is a way of seeing the future by looking deep inside of yourself, looking into where your desires, your energy, your passion are being ignited this season. You may have been passionate about many things throughout your life. You likely have. But I encourage you to dig a little deeper this season when you are feeling a little bit of a spark, a little bit of a pull in a direction. I encourage you to really release any judgment, release any resistance, and just be curious. Go in that direction, because everything that you have been through, everything that you have experienced is informing this moment and is asking you to step into a particular direction, to step into a particular role. But it's not outside of you. That answer is not outside of you. Now, this does have the energy of going and doing something, of starting something, of beginning something, but it is about connecting the past to the future. This is about connecting something that did live in the past, that did maybe you've already experienced or maybe had dreamed about as a child or a teenager. Some part of this lives in the past, but it is not coming into the future in the exact same way. This is not revisiting. This is taking the best parts of the old ways and aligning them for the new way of living. This is moving forward in new shoes. This is moving forward in new pathways, right? This is a new journey. You're taking a different route. But your movement, it needs to be informed by everything that you have learned. What do you need to be okay? What can you expect when it comes to your energy levels, when it comes to your commitment, when it comes to your ability to sort of dive into what you're doing and see it through? What are you going to need to actually get there? It's really important that you address the truth of who you are, what your needs are, and how you operate. Not so that you can judge yourself, not so that you can decide that you're different and shouldn't be living and shouldn't be doing it this way, or that the way you need to do it is impossible. No, that's not your business. Your business is, I know myself well enough to plan for myself, to support myself, to give myself all of the things that I'm going to need when I inevitably, and in the cycle, which is okay, run into the things that I typically run into. It's not about like beating burnout to the punch, but it is understanding when you are on the path to it so that you can do something about it, so that you can put your hands in, get engaged and say, I am headed towards this and I need to take a break on this particular thing so that I can continue this particular thing. Whatever it is, this is not really, it's not really new life, new season, new you. It is new desire, new direction, new vehicle, but better you. The leader of you, the you that has been through so many different paths. It's not that you're not afraid of the path forward or that you don't have any fear or anxiety or resistance towards it, but it is just a newfound comfort in your role, possibly in your leadership role, in the way that you are like, I've seen this unfold so many times, and now that it's happening again, I am literally not going to do the same thing. I am literally not going to do the same thing. If this is unfolding in the same way as it has so many times in the past, then I know, right? Then you should know where it is that you need to get involved, right? To change the outcome. This is you trusting yourself as a reliable narrator of your life, desires, experience, and trusting the experience and wisdom that you have earned, that you've worked hard to experience, to hold, and then sharing that with yourself, with your journal, with your friends and family, with your team, in order to get where you want to go. Because at this point, the boat's leaving. You're going. You can decide how you get there. You can decide who you are on the path and who you're going to be when you get there. But at this point, we can't stop the boat. Change is happening. And it is going to be good, and it can really be better than you ever expected it. Although I a little bit feel like you did expect it to be really incredible. Either way, either camp that you're in, it's going to be incredible, or I don't know how it's going to go. Either camp that you're in, it's time for you to decide how you're going to live through this and how you are going to bring the versions of yourself that are massively equipped with the knowledge and the wisdom for any journey ahead of you. How are you going to bring those best parts of yourself forward? How are you going to trust them? And what is your anchor in your desire, in your ability to see what's possible for the future, to dream what's possible beyond what seems actually possible? What dream are you anchoring into? Lean in, dig your heels in, lean down, right? Trust it. And then move forward, because now is the time. Okay, Pisces, now it's your turn. Love having Pisces be at the beginning. It's very fun. The card for Aquarius season for you, my Pisces angel, is the Knight of Wands, or the Fire Starter. And this is wonderful. I think that Piscean people for Aquarius season really should pay attention to where they are, where they have made a lot of, what's the word for it? Like, where you've been chomping at the bit, where you've been like all engrossed and hyper focused on wanting something to start, on wanting to begin something, on wanting to go in a direction, but you haven't been able to get there, right? It hasn't been able to feel like you're making any actual progress. And it's not because for lack of trying, it really does feel like you don't know your style yet. You don't know the way that you're going to do it. And that is right on time. That's not a read. That's not a problem with you. It's not like an issue. This is just exactly the time where you are going to find your style. And it's not just about style, but it's about how you're going to go about getting what you want. Sometimes we have dreams of things like, I want to open a bakery, or I want to open a coffee shop, or I want to start a new business, a clothing line, right? We're like, we want these things, and we tried so many different ways, but it's not working because we haven't found our unique way of going about it. And I really think that Aquarius season has a lot of you like finding the path, right? Figuring out how you are going to do it the way that it makes you feel like your special way. Because a lot of this to me feels like taking every opportunity this season to try it out in a different way, to like switch things up, to not care about like your brand or whatever, and just make an effort in an area that is new to you, different, that seems to be calling to you. This is sort of full steam ahead in a way that has you very much like experiencing a lot of different things, experiencing a lot of options. And I love in this deck that it's called the Fire Starter, because there's so many, the whole Wands deck, right, being a fire deck, there's a lot of different card placements that I think could encapsulate that energy. But it being in the night really reminds you that it is something like you cannot be fed by a fire that you never start, right? You can't receive the warmth from something, from a big, roaring, sustained fire or furnace, right? That's not going to work if the pilot light is never lit, if we never find the best way to like stack those logs in a campfire, right? To stick with the metaphor, it's like, and the beginning is the hard part. When we're making a fire, like on our own, outside in nature, it's not just getting the spark, right? The spark likely comes easy to you. The spark likely is the best part, where you're like, oh, I got this idea. Oh, I got this thing I want to do. It's so exciting. It's getting that spark to catch on the kindling, to get that spark to turn into a flame that you can continue to feed, that can continue to feed you. That's the tricky part. And I feel like in this season, this is an invitation to pay close attention to the things that are finally coming to you, saying this is how you get this fire to actually start. This is how you get this spark to become a flame, and this flame to become a kindling, a small fire, until it grows and grows and grows and becomes a bonfire, becomes something that is sustainable, right? And of course, not all fire is like sustainable. Most fire is not sustainable. It burns and then it runs out of oxygen. And that's just the natural cycle, right? That's what has to happen. And we are not always in a fire time in our lives. Being in a fire time, getting a fire card in this air season really says like, listen, right? With fire and with a lot of air, there's a lot of fuel for that fire, right? A lot of air means fuel. And I know that you are a water sign, so this might not feel comfortable for you. Or, it might very well feel so comfortable because of all the work that you've done, because of all of the times that you have just like had to put your back into it and make something and do something and get it somewhere. But I really feel like if you, Pisces, take every opportunity to try what seems like is like, hey, this idea over here, or this idea connected over here. Listen, Spirit is trying to tell you the way that it's gonna work. They're trying to show you the path to getting that spark to become a real flame. And you are finding your way to do it. It's not that your idea is bad. It's not that you're not the person to do it. It's that you have to find out your unique way. And unfortunately, that is going to take some time, and there's literally nothing you can do about it. But at this time, when again, Pluto is moving into Aquarius now, right? Things are changing on a big scale. There's so much potential and open doors and open portals leading to different versions of this world. And if you are racing through it, fueled by your desire, by your truth, fueled by the thing that lights you up the most, and so excited about finding your unique expression of this idea, that I think that you will have a really wonderful time, and probably a pretty speedy, like quick time, getting to a place where you're like, this is what I want to do, and this is how I am going to do it. And I think that that is invaluable. So pay attention. There's a lot of little ideas. There's a lot of little informations all around you. A little spirits, little whispers in your ear that are like, over here, over here, over here. And they're not all your friend, right? They're not all correct. And I think the best way to avoid the ones that are not correct is just to tune in with your core, to tune in with your own internal guidance system and see, like, does this match my morals? Does this match my desires? Does this match my style? And make sure that you're just not accepting a path to get what you want that has you acting out of character, because it will not pay off. I think there's a lot of potential to act out of character here because there's going to be a lot of excitement and it's going to feel and taste so close. But don't act out of character, because when you get to that conclusion in ways that you didn't want to do it, that in ways that force you to be somebody who you're not and who you don't approve of, that delicious, ripe looking fruit will turn to ash in your mouth. It will not be good. It will rot before your eyes and it will not be satisfying. So make sure you're sticking to who you are and what you believe as you grow towards your destination and towards your desire. Okay? You can do this. All right, Aries, your turn. Your card for Aquarius season is number 10, the Wheel of Fortune. And this, for my beautiful Aries, it just feels like maybe frustrating, maybe annoying, that the felt sensation, the lived experience of being handed a Wheel of Fortune season as an Aries during Aquarius season is likely going to be frustrating, because I feel like it seemed like so many things were coming together, because they were and they are. But now we're getting to Aquarius season and it's just not necessarily the time for things to shift, right? It's not actually your time right now. And you're allowed to be upset by that and you're allowed to be frustrated, but you are not allowed to give up on the things that you want. You're not allowed to spiral and decide that if not now, then it's not meant to be. If not exactly the way that I want it and I approve of getting there, then it's not meant to be and I'm not going to have it and it's not even worth trying. I'm just going to lay down. Like, that is a choice. This is a free will universe. You can do whatever you want. But the temptation is coming from restlessness and not from something that's rooted in the truth. You are not about to be abandoned, right? Your dreams are not done. Things are not over. Your fresh start is still happening. All the things that you want are still in process. And this is just a season where you are being asked to keep your head down to a certain degree in a specific way and stick to your center. When the Wheel of Fortune is on the table, there isn't anything else we can do. We understand that fate is at play. We understand that change is happening and that our only job is to get to the very center of this wheel so that we are not flung right off when it starts to spin quickly, right? So that doesn't mean don't start anything. It doesn't mean like no new projects. It just means reminding yourself every time it feels like you are stagnated that it's not because you messed up or you're failing or something is going wrong. It's because it's not a stagnation, it's a pause. Because it's waiting for the perfect timing. And you want the perfect timing, despite how your brain, your body may be rejecting that idea, saying, no, if it was right, it'd be easy. If it was right, it'd be now. That's not the case. That's not true. And a big part of you knows that that's not true. So don't give in, right? Resist the temptation to believe in that hopelessness, right? Feel free to stomp your feet. A tantrum is very good for humanity, right? A tantrum is good for you sometimes. Feel free to tantrum, but don't let that lead into committing to that idea of life that you are just never going to get what you want, because that's not what's happening here. What's happening again is a sacred pause, because one, it's just not about you right now. And two, your stuff needs to happen at the perfect time. And because we're talking about perfect timing, it has nothing to do with humans. We don't do perfect time. We don't do perfect anything, right? So wait, it's out of your hands and that's good. It's like, let them take care of it. When it's time to move forward, the path will just be open. It will be clear. And if you find yourself getting stopped in every direction, Again, it's not you. It's just not the right time. It's not the dream being bad. It's not a guarantee that things are going to go south. It's just not your time. And I know that sucks. I hate that. Nobody likes that. But you do want things to be in the timing that they are going to be coming to you, because it is going to be better than it could ever be happening at inappropriate times. Remind yourself, the faster you rise, the further and harder you fall. Remind yourself that sometimes what comes quickly leaves quickly. And that sometimes if we pluck a fruit too ripe, that shit's poisonous and we don't want it. It's not going to taste good. Sometimes when we try to grab our blessings too early, they fall through our fingers because we have not woven anything tight enough to actually hold them, right? So when the Wheel of Fortune is on the table, like, all you can do is come to the center. And what that means in our real lives is like, okay, smaller, think smaller. What do I need water-wise? What do I need food-wise? How's my body doing? What kind of exercise do I need, right? What do I need for my creative heart and mind? What do I need for my thinking mind, right? What do I need for my subconscious? What does my inner child need? Just going through the realms of your system of care. And if you don't have a system of care, I would consider investigating what your system of care is. And sometimes that's a sad and frustrating thing to do when we are living in this current world that doesn't support systems of care, that are not like isolated single persons trying to desperately to survive. But you can still make some effort in the area of understanding what your needs actually are so that you can give them to yourself and have them met, right? The Wheel of Fortune is an expander. It is about your horizons getting bigger. But the process of that happening is jarring and is sometimes alarming and sometimes destabilizing. And in a way, sometimes the Wheel of Fortune can feel like the Tower. But again, it's not. It's not over. It's not done. You're not starting over. You just have to ride this wave. And when everything stops, when the wheel comes to a still motion, no more moving, you will literally be dropped off at the beginning of this path, or right down in the middle of it where you left off. But the timing now will be better. Let all of these things that are happening around you to get you what you need happen. Stay out of the way. Take care of yourself. Stay fighting for a free world, stay fighting for a free internal world. And when the time comes, again, that path will just be clear and probably pretty obvious. And until then, if it's not clear and obvious and you just keep running into a wall, remember that Aquarius season is Wheel of Fortune season. Things are out of your hands and into the hands of the fates. And all we can do is wait to see how the dice fall. And that is okay and is a safe thing to do. But you might have to remind yourself a few times that it is a safe thing to do. Okay? You can handle this. It's going to be good. It's just not your time. Wait and be delighted with how much better it is because you let it happen in its own time. Okay? Okay, Taurus. The card for Aquarius season for you is the Five of Swords reversed. And in this deck, it is assigned to Venus in Aquarius and survival. And I really get the feeling here that whatever actually ends up happening in the physical world, in your life during this season, might just make you feel, not just make you feel, but like bring up old stuff about how things are just not going to work out, or things aren't going the way you want them to go. And it's not, I don't think, going to reflect what's actually happening in the real world. I think that your mind is going to take you some places that are old and done, that are just like familiar echoes of trauma, of fear, of things that you have healed and are still working on, that like come up to you as ghosts this season. And there might be a temptation to believe that the ghosts are here because they are going to get you, that they are going to become part of your reality again, but they aren't. It is a reassurance that you are different, that you think different, that you live differently. And so what feels good and what doesn't feel good are different. And in the past, what might have made you feel really fearful, unsafe, an outcast, different, wrong, just wrong, that you are so wrong, and that you're always on the losing end, and that you'll always be on the losing end. Those ghosts come to you again. But this season is not about you sort of trying to find a way to just like ignore those things. But I think those feelings are coming up just because you're really breaking through them. What used to feel horrible, you're gonna experience it again, and it's not gonna feel horrible. And that's good news, right? That's great news. This is talking about you walking through maybe familiar hallways, maybe not literally in the same place, but in an energy, an environment, a room, a community that resembles something, or that you haven't been in a long time. Like all of a sudden you're in a meeting and you're like, I haven't been in a meeting in 6 years or whatever, right? All of a sudden you're on a bicycle and it's like, it's been a long time and I used to do this all the time. And the old fears come up about how it's not going to work, about how everyone's going to hate you, about how you are the first person to lose. And that's not what's happening. And I think that you're encouraged this season to mark that, to note it, to witness it, and to celebrate all of the places that you have grown on from. You've moved on, you've grown up, it's over, it's not the same. You are feeling differently, and it is inspiring, it's innovating, it makes you feel, I think there's a possibility that this just feels strange, that it just feels sort of weird, and you're like, all of a sudden, I just like, this is okay, like this is actually good, maybe. I feel like it looks like something that you assumed is like horrible because of the past, because of the ways that it has happened in the past, unfolded in the past, the way that it has felt. And you get there and you're like, yes, so shocked that it's just not that way, but you're shocked less that it's not as bad as it was, or not as bad as you thought it was going to be. But I think that you're shocked that you like it. I think there's so many things that you might be afraid of losing because of this, losing grip of your schedule, losing grip of your control of your life, losing grip of your freedom, losing grip of the things that make you feel secure. And you are a Taurus, right? So we don't like to lose grip of the things that make us feel secure. But if you lean into that feeling, if you pay attention to it, if you investigate, you might discover that you are not feeling like you're actually without your security. You'll look in and you'll notice that your security is still intact. In fact, it is more intact than it has been in a long time, maybe ever. And that the feeling, the fear was knee-jerk. And you have to remind yourself that that's just not what's happening. That's not what's happening, despite how good it may feel, right? Because I think that you go up to this situation and you're surprised and you're literally like, wow, I thought it was going to be bad and it's not. And this is like your opportunity to say, things have changed, and maybe my idea of who I was and the way I was sort of destined to lose, or the way that I was destined to live, the only option for survival for me, is not the same. It's not the same. You're changing. You have changed. You're still growing. You're still learning. But this experience is showing you where that growth really has been. I feel like there's so many ways where if I'd asked you, Taurus, like, how have you grown in the last 20 years? How have you grown in the last 15, right? I think that you would rattle off this list and you wouldn't notice these ones that you are going to notice this month, this season. But they are some of the deepest and most powerful changes that have occurred, period. This is the follow through and the validation of what is different inside of you, in your thought processes, in the care that you take for yourself and your life, in especially your sense of security. I think that There's so much here that you are finally discovering is like sturdier and can hold your weight more than you thought it could. And it is a beautiful opportunity to celebrate that. So don't give in to any temptation to be like, well, if I'm afraid, that means that this is happening. This is a horrible experience because I was worried it was going to be. And so it just is because it always has been. Let that go. Let this experience be what it is. Let it show you who it is, what it's going to feel like, and don't make any assumptions. Don't bring any assumptions with you because I think that you're going to be surprised. Even if you're like, I know exactly how this is going to be, especially if you feel that way. You don't. You don't. You actually don't. You actually don't. No, you literally don't. You think you do because of your past and because maybe some plug in the future where you're like, that person feels this way about it. That doesn't mean you are. Not even a little bit. I think that you are going to be very happy with whatever this is. And that might be a new feeling. It feels like a new feeling, but it's still love. So trust it. Lean into it. Let Aquarius season show you how you really feel now and where the biggest changes in your sense of safety, survival, security, and your ideas about what those really are and what it needs to be to feel that way, let them be changed. Let yourself witness how they have already changed and how now you might anchor into something a little deeper. And these little things that used to make you feel unsafe are maybe silly and not worth fearing, and maybe you don't fear them anymore. It was just a knee-jerk reaction. I think this is a good season for you, Taurus. I'm happy for you. Congratulations. Love that. All right, Geminis, you're up next. Gemini crew. Okay, so the card that you have for Aquarius season is the Seven of Swords. And again, in this deck, it is assigned to the moon in Aquarius and escape. And I just get the feeling that this is actually about, it is actually about escape. Maybe even literally. It just feels like the cages that you have built for yourself, the mental restrictions and chains that you have tied yourself to of things like not being enough, of never being enough, of not being good, of not being like all of the negative self-talk, all of the negative lessons that you learned from maybe like a bad childhood or an unbalanced relationship with your family or school or being at multiple minorities, I don't know, at multiple intersections of marginalization. I'm not sure, right? But those things, the pieces that you were still clinging to as like, this I can't give up because that is keeping me safe, because that's true. I can accept that I'm beautiful. I can accept that I'm smart. I can accept that I'm valuable, but I cannot accept that I can have what I want, or I cannot accept that I can do this path that is in front of me. Like, I can't be the teacher I want to be, even though I know I'm all these things. Or I can be all of this stuff, but I'll never accept that I'm beautiful enough to be loved, or whatever it is. This season has so much potential to release you from those thoughts because they are not, one, rooted in the truth, and two, coming from a sustainable source. They are draining you. And you have been working in so many different ways to stem that flow, right? To stop it, to cut it off so that that negative voice doesn't have the fuel to terrorize you. And that's working. It's working. And I think I think you can feel that it's been getting less and less. Not that you haven't had up days and down days, and it's a roller coaster. It always is. But I think that you know what I'm talking about. I think that you can feel the distance that you're getting. I feel like people have been promising you a new start, a new you, a fresh version, like finally getting over this hill for a long time. And at the risk of like being one of them, I think that this is it. I think that Aquarius season, this one in 2024, when Pluto has joined the sun in Aquarius, I think that you finally think a different way. No, you feel a different way. And it is revolutionary. It's freeing. It's all about freedom. And the only place that you are truly caged right now is in your mind, in the way that you treat yourself and the things that you allow to be real for you. Not just real for them or anybody else. Like, yeah, everyone deserves to be taken care of. Not me though. Like, yeah, everyone deserves to have their needs met, but I'll be last. Like, not me. I don't deserve it. That's just how it goes. And that's how it has to be. Like, no, none of that. That's literally over. I almost feel like I have nothing else to say to you because it's real. It's happening. You're letting yourself go. Your challenge this season is that there are always last little claws that something likes to get into you at the end. Right? People say that it's like the demon digs its claws in deeper when it's about to be exorcised because it knows it's done, right? There are going to be moments this season that challenge that idea, that challenge that freedom, that say, are you sure? Because you are a lot more comfortable hating yourself. Don't forget, you could all, if that's too scary, if that's too much, like you could always join me over here in hating yourself. Like it's going to try and it's inside of you. It's you. So it knows you. It's insidious. It knows the best shit to say to make sure that you don't believe that you are free from it because you're actually getting free from it. And it's not like a struggle one time and it's over and the demon's got its claws back in you, right? It's not that. It's about how you recenter. And that is how you learn this lesson. Because it's not about being perfect. It never was and it never will be. It's about what you do to recenter when you do start to feel all of those old ways, all of those old thoughts. So you start to feel those chains tighten around you again. What are you going to do? Okay, so you've spent a couple of days spiraling about it. And you're sort of getting a little clear and you're like, maybe I just took that invitation and it's not actually rooted in the truth and I'm starting to feel a little bit lighter about it. That's the moment. That's the moment you have a choice. Am I going to commit to that idea of myself or am I going to commit to the new free idea of myself? What version am I putting my energy into? This is the defining moment. And you're a Gemini, like you're ruled by Mercury. You're going to have things be both and either or and going back and forth. Like you're going to be walking across worlds. You're going to have opportunities to like change your mind again and again and again. And that's so powerful and so beautiful. But you also have the power to lock something in, especially something verbal, especially something that is like rooted in this freedom. You can get free and say, actually, no more. And I seal that away. And that is a manifestation power that Gemini holds. Speak it, write it, share it, and it will be. Continue to put energy behind it. Maybe affirmation work. Right? Maybe you've judged that for a long time, thought it was cringe, and you're like, I'm not going to offer affirmation. I'm not going to stand in the mirror and say that I don't hate myself or I love myself or that I'm cool or whatever. Maybe that is the only uncool part about you. I'm sorry. No, you're not uncool. But, maybe that voice is not looking out for you. Maybe it doesn't have your best interest at mind, at heart, at all. And maybe because you have so much Gemini energy and the power of Mercury in your heart and in your voice and in your mind, that now is the time for affirmations. Maybe you don't say them out loud, sure, but maybe you write them over and over and over again in your notebook. I don't know. Maybe you sing it over and over and over again. Maybe you dance it over and over and over again, but communicate it to yourself. Find a way to get the message across and seal it in because you're done. You're free. You're free now. You're a butterfly. You're meant to be free. You're meant to fly and float. And these chains were never meant to be on you. They were never meant to hold you down. And we don't dwell on what happened and force ourselves to live in the past where that pain is fresh all the time. You don't have to do that. You can let it go and say, they treated me poorly, but I have learned I love myself and I am always on the journey to loving myself better. And that's just it. And let that be, because you deserve to feel well. You deserve to feel loved. And all of those feelings of not being enough were never true, and they're never going to be true. Okay? So let yourself be free and fly into the sky, my lovely, lovely Gemini. That rhyme was free. Okay. All right, Cancer, your turn. The card for Aquarius season for you is the Nine of Swords. And in this deck, it is associated with the keyword despair and with Mars in Gemini. And before you despair, baby, listen in. Don't spiral. I'll give the reading. You don't have to guess. I really feel like this card for you this season is actually really about what it feels like versus what's actually happening. And I mean that in the sense that, like, your comforts might be challenged. Your comforts are going to be challenged. Your feeling of like what makes you secure, what makes you feel happy and comforted and cozy, what makes you feel the most euphoric and like living in some kind of utopic world. Those things are going to be challenged. And it's not because you don't deserve to feel comforted or that you will never feel happy again. It's that the things that you have decided are the only way to be happy, the way of living that's the only way to work, is actually not rooted in the truth. It has you not living in a liberated way. It has you living, running away from what you're afraid of and deciding that you are only happy if what you are afraid of is at least 30 meters behind you. And the thing about the Nine of Swords, especially in this moment right now for you, it's that that's the misconception, that you think that you have to stay so far ahead of your fears that you have to keep running, or you'll die, or you'll lose what matters, or you'll never be happy. But that's wrong. That's the misconception, because you're running away from the solution. Unfortunately, you are fearing with the most energy, you are fearing what is the best for you. And it's not just because you're a coward or because you just can't understand or whatever. It's because that's how fear works sometimes. That's how change works sometimes. Our brains and our bodies get on different pages about what safety is. And sometimes their mutual conclusion is something that has you suspended forever in a half happiness, right? A half life where you think you're seeing and living and breathing and loving in full color, but it's muted. And everything that comes to you that threatens full color feels like a threat. It feels like the most scary experience, the thing that you want the least. It feels like it's going to take away any bit of happiness you have. But the truth is that it's actually trying to uproot all of these plants that you have that are not thriving and actually seed into the ground deep roots rooted in the truth that will actually have you living happy and really secure and actually having all of the things that you want that are going to make your home feel safe, that are going to make you feel at home in your body and at home in this life on this planet. And all of those things that you think are the worst possible thing that could happen are actually the best. Obviously, not all of the things. We can all think of things that are the worst that are not the best, right? Absolutely. But this situation has you meeting that despair and learning what it is under that mask. And you might feel not great about it. And I think that that's just going to have to be okay, that you cry or that you grieve what is changing or what you've lost. There's no question about that. You're allowed to feel however you're feeling. And in fact, you need to feel it. Cry it out, run it out, get the feelings moving through your body so that they're not living inside of you, getting stopped up. We don't want that. That's sort of what happens when we do run away from our fears. We don't want that. So feel that way. But keep looking and leaning into what is actually happening, the facts about what is happening and where it might lead you, because that is actually going to lead you somewhere so far beyond the best possible outcome that you imagined for yourself. And I know that that's hard to believe because, again, it's so far away from what you have decided is safe and good and wanted and approved, right? It's so far away. So it's hard to believe. But that's your challenge. It's about facing your fear with the understanding that there's better for you on the other side when you do. There's a better path, there's a better life, there's a better sense of security and freedom for you available. But you've got to let that fear catch up with you and not run away. And again, this is a free will universe. You can do whatever you want. And you could choose to run for sure. I wouldn't even judge you. I laugh now, but I get it. The thing is, the only catch with running is that you know where it takes you because you're already living that way. And the things that you are fearing have so much control over you and you're already suffering. You're already suffering. So what is the worst thing? Like, what's really bad about letting that suffering shift from deep, true suffering to maybe mere uncomfortableness, dissatisfaction along the journey to having the best possible outcome? When things start to change, when people start to get loud, when the core energy of our collective consciousness seems to shift, I think that you might be afraid and feel like, well, I'm losing all of my favorite stuff. You're not. Some of it, sure, but none of it that's rooted in the truth and none of it that is rooted in what is actually going to bring you happiness, safety, and security. So remember the 9 of Swords this season. Remember that so often our fear that we're running from, all we have to do to overcome it and to feel better is to stop running, to turn around and look it in the eye. It's like nightmare logic. As soon as you see that big scary monster chasing you, it turns into a harmless little guinea pig or something. And now you're best friends with the guinea pig and it wasn't even a monster. Or most of the time you stop and you turn and you look that monster in the eyes and it's a beautiful angel child version of you that just needs you to stop running so that it can feel wanted, cared for, so that they can feel secure. And with the information that you might just be running from the best, most beautiful, and unfortunately most injured part of yourself, the most wounded, does that make you want to stop? Thinking about that fear as actually just a toddler, a sweet baby that just wants love, does that make you feel like you can stop and turn around and open your arms and say, I love you and I'm not going to run away from you? I hope it does. And if it doesn't, I challenge you to justify. I challenge you to justify that. Just to yourself. Like, you might come to the conclusion that it is worth it to run. And that's your business. And you're allowed to do that. That's perfectly okay. But I think if you try to write it out and you try to justify why you would leave that kid abandoned, the only conclusion would be like, well, everybody else did. Okay, well, who are you? Who do you want to be? Do you want to be somebody who could have done something and didn't? Or do you want to stop and take that kid's hand and lead it somewhere safe? Because that's what the opportunity is right now. That's what's on the table for you. And again, it is a challenge because it looks like your biggest fear. It looks like your fears. It looks like things that you're stuffing down and running away from. It looks like something that you just don't want to deal with. But it's time. It's time. This monster has only grown this big because of how long it's been ignored and run away from. And it's okay. That's not an invitation into shame or guilt or feeling like, well, I did this to myself. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. But it is up to you now to stop running and face your fear, because you deserve to be okay. You deserve to be more than okay. You deserve to thrive and feel loved and secure and held by this world and the people in it. And this is the pathway to that. Okay? So take care. You can be afraid, but don't let it stop you. This is the time for all of your courage. And you have it. And you can do it. Thank you so much for listening to these horoscopes with me, these taroscopes. How does it sound? Do you feel ready? How do you feel? Is it exciting? Are you just like super ready to start a new life? Are you ready to be the best version of yourself? Are you ready to face your challenges? Are you absolutely not ready, but barreling into the future anyways? Most likely, me too. If this reading didn't have the signs, make sure to check out the companion video, the other part, so that you can get the signs that are appropriate for you. Your rising, your sun, your moon, any concentrated energy, listen to those. If you would like a personalized reading so we can look into your energy, your personal energies for Aquarius season, connect to some spirits, connect to some good energy, and get a lay of the land for you for the month ahead, for the season ahead. The links are down below and you can book a one-on-one with me. I have a lot of different options. Browse through, see what works for you. If you want to hang out and learn more and do tarot studies and astrology studies and things like that, then you can join the Patreon, which, love you. I want to take this moment to say thank you so much to the Rainbow Witches on the Patreon. All my patrons are incredible and make this and all videos possible. So thank you so much. Stick around, watch the other video, and I know I was gone for a while, but I literally had to be. I was dealing with medical stuff and I just could not make a video, but I'm back and we're back on track. We're back on schedule. So thanks for sticking around and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Stay cool, stay queer, stay in it, stay magical. I'll see you around. Mwah.